The sea was calm, too calm. Daniel Mercer stood at the bow of a rusted supply boat, his weathered hands gripping the railing as the island loomed ahead. Dense mist clung to the water like an omen. Somewhere beyond that fog waited the place locals only whispered about, Isla Noctis, the island of shadows. For weeks, the same coordinates had haunted Daniel's dreams. A strange, rhythmic whisper, "Find the door," echoing through the dark corners of his mind. He'd seen too many ruins, uncovered too many forgotten tombs to believe in coincidence. This was a call, and he couldn't ignore it. "Mr. Mercer!" shouted Captain Hale, his voice roughened by years of salt and rum. "We'll reach the shore in 10 minutes. After that, we're gone. I'm not waiting on that cursed place." Daniel glanced back. The captain's eyes, normally fearless, carried unease. The crew avoided looking at the island altogether. Every sailor in this region had heard the same story. Those who set foot on Isla Noctis never returned. Daniel smiled faintly. "Don't worry, Captain. I won't be long." Hale spat into the sea. "That's what they all say." The boat scraped against the shore. The jungle beyond was thick and silent, the kind of silence that hums with hidden life. Daniel slung his worn leather bag over his shoulder, maps, journal, compass, and a weathered photograph of his late father, also an archaeologist. His father had vanished 20 years ago while searching for a mythical artifact known as the Whispering Gate. Daniel had sworn he'd never chase legends like that. But the dreams changed everything. He stepped into the shallow surf, boots sinking into wet sand. Behind him, the boat's engine growled to life. "Mercer!" Hale shouted one last time. "If you're not back by dawn, I'm leaving your bones here." Daniel raised a hand in farewell, though he didn't look back. The jungle waited. Within minutes, the air grew thick with heat and rot. Enormous vines coiled around ancient trees. Insects swarmed like clouds. Each step took him deeper into green darkness. The whisper returned, faint, seductive, almost human. "Find the door." Daniel froze. His eyes darted through the foliage, heart pounding. No one. Only the endless hum of life and decay. He touched his temple, muttering, "You're imagining things." But deep down, he knew he wasn't. Hours passed. He followed the remnants of a crumbling trail, overgrown stone steps, fragments of carved symbols swallowed by moss. Each sign pointed to one truth: someone had lived here long ago, someone who had built something monumental. He reached a clearing just as the sun began to set. The sky flamed orange behind the black canopy. At the center of the clearing stood a ruined stone arch, half buried, cracked, and wrapped in roots. Strange markings etched along its curve glowed faintly, not with reflected light, but with an inner pulse. Daniel's breath caught. The Whispering Gate! He knelt, brushing dirt from one of the carvings, a spiral pattern leading inward. He opened his journal, comparing the symbol to his father's last sketch. It matched perfectly. His father had been here. A low whine swept the clearing. The air turned cold, unnaturally so. Then came a sound, a whisper, clearer this time, and impossibly close. "Daniel," he stumbled back. "Who's there?" The jungle stilled. Then, slowly, a faint shimmer appeared inside the arch, like a curtain of smoke bending light. Daniel's instincts screamed to leave, but curiosity pulled harder. He stepped closer, extending a trembling hand toward the shimmering air. It rippled like water. The moment his fingertips touched it, a blinding surge of cold shot through his body. The jungle vanished. Daniel gasped, stumbling forward onto stone. The air was damp and smelled of dust and old earth. He raised his head. He was inside a vast underground chamber. The walls were lined with murals, scenes of robed figures performing rituals, a door of light swallowing them whole. His flashlight flickered. The beam landed on a pedestal at the room's center. On it lay a metallic disc covered in runes. He reached for it, and the whisper grew louder, almost frantic. "You opened the way, now you cannot leave." The ground trembled. Dust rained from the ceiling. Shadows shifted across the murals, figures moving where there should be none. Daniel backed away, heart hammering, when a shape began forming in the dark, tall, humanoid, but wrong. Its eyes were hollow voids. Its skin shimmered like smoke. It spoke without sound. You should not have come. Daniel turned and ran. The tunnel twisted endlessly. He could hear the creature behind him, its footsteps echoing like thunder. He sprinted through narrow corridors, across crumbling bridges, through air thick with whispers. Finally, light, a small opening ahead. He lunged through it, tumbling into the night. The portal closed behind him with a thunderous clap, leaving the jungle eerily silent once more. He lay gasping on the forest floor, the stars blurring above him. His hand burned, the same spiral symbol from the gate now etched into his palm, glowing faintly. He stared at it in horror. Then, from deep within the jungle, came the sound of footsteps, not human ones, approaching slowly, rhythmically. Daniel rose to his feet, clutching his bag, and whispered to himself, "This is only the beginning." Behind him, in the darkness, something whispered back, "Yes, Daniel, only the beginning." The jungle did not sleep. Even in darkness, it breathed, restless, alive, and watching. Daniel leaned against a massive tree trunk, chest heaving, the glow from the spiral mark on his palm casting an eerie shimmer across his face. The jungle around him was still again, but not peaceful. Every rustle of leaves, every flicker of shadow seemed to whisper his name. He tightened his grip on the bag. "You should not have come." The voice echoed in his head, a memory or a warning. He wasn't sure anymore. He checked his compass. The needle spun uselessly. His watch had stopped too. Time itself seemed different here. Daniel forced himself forward, following the faintest trace of a trail, animal tracks, maybe, or something older. His father's face flashed in his mind, the same determined eyes, the same hunger for discovery. Had he stood here once, hearing the same whispers? The thought chilled him. After what felt like hours, he stumbled into another clearing, smaller than the last, ringed by ancient stone pillars covered in vines. Moonlight spilled through the canopy, illuminating the carvings. Each pillar bore the same spiral symbol burned into his hand. And at the center of the circle stood an altar, black stone, wet with dew. On it lay a rusted metal pendant shaped like an eye. Daniel hesitated, then approached slowly. The whispering returned, not from one voice this time but from many, overlapping, men, women, even children, all murmuring words he couldn't understand. He reached out a trembling hand and touched the pendant. The whispers stopped. A heartbeat later, a pulse of light shot from the altar into his mark. Daniel screamed as the symbol flared white-hot. Visions flooded his mind, a city swallowed by darkness, a door of light tearing open in the sky, and a man standing before it, his father. Then everything went black. When he awoke, dawn was breaking. The jungle glowed gold and green in the morning light. The pendant now hung from his neck, cool and heavy. His palm, though scarred, had stopped glowing. Daniel sat up, dizzy. His surroundings were wrong. The trees were twisted, their roots exposed like bones. The air was thick with mist. And there, half hidden in the brush, was something unnatural, a campsite. Old, overgrown, but unmistakably human. He pushed through the ferns and found 3 tents, decayed with time. Rusted tools, notebooks, and skeletons half buried in soil. He knelt beside one, brushing dirt from the remains. The bones were arranged strangely, hands covering the face as if shielding from something unspeakable. His heart pounded as he spotted a familiar leather strap. He lifted it carefully. A journal, weathered but intact. The initials on the cover stopped him cold. E. Mercer. His father's journal. Daniel opened it with shaking hands. The first pages were filled with his father's tidy handwriting, coordinates, sketches of ruins, the same spiral markings. Then the words grew frantic. The door is real. It feeds on those who seek it. There is no returning through it. Only deeper. If anyone finds this, the key is the mark. The island chooses who enters, and who stays. The next page was smeared with something dark. The final entry was barely legible. She comes at night, the keeper of the door. She wears the faces of those we've lost. Daniel closed the journal, hands trembling. The pendant at his neck felt suddenly heavier. He could almost feel eyes on him, watching from somewhere unseen. A branch snapped. He spun around. The jungle was silent again, but something moved in the mist, slow and deliberate. A figure. Human-shaped. Who's there? Daniel called out. No reply. The figure stepped closer, and as the light hit its face, Daniel's breath froze. It was his father. Dad? His voice cracked. The man smiled faintly, the same smile Daniel remembered from childhood, but his eyes were hollow, black as the void inside the gate. Daniel, the apparition said softly. You shouldn't have followed me. Daniel stumbled back. You're dead. This isn't real. The figure's head tilted. Real enough to warn you. The door marked you. It won't stop until it has you. Then the air shimmered, and the figure's form twisted, melting into shadow. In its place, the jungle seemed to breathe again, louder, hungrier. Daniel bolted, crashing through the undergrowth, branches clawing at his arms. The whispers rose again, deafening now. Find the heart. Find the second door. He didn't look back until he reached the edge of a ravine. Below, a river of mist churned where water should have been. Across it, barely visible through the fog, stood the ruins of an ancient temple. Stone pillars jutted from the earth like broken teeth, and on its facade, even from this distance, he could see the spiral symbol again. The second door, he whispered behind him. Something moved, heavy, wet footsteps, too close. Daniel tightened his grip on the journal and the pendant. All right, he muttered under his breath. Let's see how deep this rabbit hole goes. And with a final look at the mist behind him, he leapt across the ravine. The jungle swallowed the echo of his landing. And far below, from the darkness, something laughed. Daniel hit the ground hard, rolling through damp soil and moss. His knees screamed with pain, but he didn't stop. The jungle on this side of the ravine felt heavier, as if the air itself had weight. Mist clung to his skin, cold and alive. The whispers had gone quiet now, replaced by something worse, silence so deep it pressed against his eardrums. Ahead loomed the temple, enormous, carved into the mountain's base, its entrance flanked by two statues of faceless guardians. Their stone bodies were cracked but standing, as though waiting for him. He wiped sweat from his brow, eyes fixed on the spiral sigil engraved above the entrance, identical to the one burned into his palm. This must be it, he murmured. The second door. Inside, the air was colder. Daniel flicked on his flashlight, its narrow beams slicing through the darkness. Dust hung like smoke, disturbed only by his breath. The walls were covered in carvings, not the language of any known civilization, yet their patterns felt familiar. They told a story, figures stepping through a door of light, and returning as shadows. The deeper he went, the louder something became, not sound, exactly, but vibration. A deep, rhythmic pulse that seemed to come from within the stone itself, beating like a heart. He followed it down a sloping corridor until he reached a massive circular chamber. The floor was made of black marble, polished to a mirror shine. In the center stood an altar, and above it hung a ring of stones suspended in midair, rotating slowly without any visible support. The heart of the island. Daniel's flashlight flickered. What are you? He whispered. The ring pulsed once, and the whispering returned, 1,000 voices overlapping. The gate opens for blood. The gate remembers the marked. Daniel stepped closer, mesmerized. The pendant around his neck began to vibrate, glowing faintly. The same light shimmered along his scarred palm. He held them both out toward the ring, and the air rippled. A vision struck him, so vivid it stole his breath. He saw the temple alive again, lit by torches and filled with chanting figures in black robes. In the center stood his father, younger, desperate, holding the same pendant. Behind him, a woman screamed as the floor split open and swallowed her whole. His father turned, eyes wild. Close it! Before it takes her too! Then Daniel saw himself standing behind his father, watching, as though time had looped back, forcing him to relive what his father had failed to stop. The vision ended as suddenly as it began. Daniel dropped to his knees, gasping. Dad, what did you do? A sound echoed through the chamber. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Daniel scrambled to his feet and swung the flashlight toward the noise. For a moment he saw nothing, then movement, a silhouette gliding between the pillars. Too tall, too thin. Its shape wavered like smoke in water. It stopped just beyond the altar. A woman's voice drifted out, soft but hollow. Daniel Mercer. The light revealed her, or what used to be her. A figure wrapped in torn robes, her face hidden behind a veil of black mist. Where her eyes should have been, two pale flames flickered. The keeper, Daniel whispered. She tilted her head. You bear the mark of the gate. You opened what was never meant to open. He forced his voice steady. What do you want from me? The island chose you, she said. It wants you to finish what your blood began. My father? Daniel took a step forward. He was here. What happened to him? The keeper's voice softened. He tried to contain the door, but every door must be paid for. He gave what the gate demanded. Daniel's throat tightened. His life? She laughed, a sound like cracking stone. His soul. The altar began to glow. The ring above it spun faster, a vortex of light forming within. Daniel's pendant burned hot against his chest. The keeper extended a skeletal hand. Give me the key, and I will return him to you. He hesitated. Every instinct screamed trap, but the image of his father haunted him. The chance, however small, to bring him back was unbearable to ignore. Daniel raised the pendant slowly, then stopped. The whispers changed tone, urgent, panicked. Don't trust her. She guards the door, but she feeds it too. He lowered the pendant. You're lying. The keeper's form convulsed, her voice deepening into a snarl. Then you will join him. The chamber erupted in chaos. Wind howled, torches flared to life, and the floating ring burst into light. Daniel was thrown backward, crashing against the stone wall. Shadows poured from the ring like smoke, twisting and clawing at the air. He crawled toward the exit, but the ground split open beneath him. His hand shot out, grabbing the edge of the altar. The mark on his palm blazed again, sending a shockwave through the room. The shadows screamed, 1,000 tortured voices, and recoiled. The light from his mark struck the ring, shattering it. The keeper shrieked, her form collapsing into black ash. Then silence. When Daniel opened his eyes, the temple was gone. He lay on cold rock beneath a gray sky. The jungle had vanished. The sea stretched endlessly in every direction. In the distance, a single stone tower rose from the water, its peak wrapped in storm clouds. The pendant around his neck was gone. Only the glowing spiral on his hand remained. Daniel staggered to his feet, the wind howling around him. This isn't over, he whispered. You wanted me to finish it. I will. He looked toward the tower, its shadow stretching across the endless sea, and started walking. Far behind him, deep below the waves, something ancient whispered his name again. Not as a warning this time. As a welcome. The wind lashed Daniel's face as he waded through the shallow waters that stretched from the shore to the base of the tower. Each step was a battle, the current tugging at his boots, waves slapping his chest. The sky churned with storm clouds, dark and roiling, but he pressed forward, driven by a single, unrelenting thought. He had to finish what the gate had begun. The spiral mark on his palm throbbed in time with his heartbeat, a warning or a guide, he wasn't sure which. Finally, his boots hit solid stone. The tower's base was carved from black granite, slick with sea spray. Jagged steps spiraled around its circumference, winding upward into shadows. Daniel glanced up. The top seemed impossibly distant, disappearing into the storm clouds. Lightning cracked across the sky, illuminating the tower's grotesque carvings, twisted faces, screaming mouths, and figures trapped inside spirals of stone. This place, it's alive, he whispered, shivering. He began the ascent. Each step groaned under his weight. The spiral mark on his palm flared, casting faint light on the carvings. As he climbed, whispers rose again, soft at first, then louder. Not voices from outside, these were inside his mind, echoing memories he didn't even know he had. You belong here, you are marked, you will finish it. Daniel gritted his teeth and kept climbing. Halfway up, the spiral symbol began to burn hotter, and the wind carried a strange scent, iron and ozone, like a storm trapped inside stone. Then he noticed movement in the shadows of the carvings. The twisted faces seemed to shift, mouths opening wider, eyes following his every step. He froze. One face, carved into a pillar, had a startling resemblance, hollow eyes, sharp cheekbones. His father's face. A flash of memory hit him, the vision from the temple, his father trapped in shadows. Daniel's hand went to his chest, searching for the pendant, but it was gone. Only the spiral remained, glowing like a living thing. He whispered through clenched teeth. I will find you, Dad. Whatever it takes. Hours passed. The stairs twisted impossibly, looping back on themselves. Time lost meaning. The whispers grew impatient, almost pleading, almost angry. Daniel began to see figures in the mist swirling around the tower, shadows of people, trapped in stone, walking, clawing, screaming silently. Some he recognized, explorers, sailors, his father's colleagues, all of them claimed by the gate. The spiral on his hand burned bright, a beacon of both power and warning. At last, he reached a platform that jutted from the tower, halfway to the top. From here, he could see the storms swirling above. And below, the endless sea, calm now, hiding the darkness beneath its surface. Then he heard it, a voice, clear and human this time, cutting through the whispers. Daniel Mercer. He spun around. A woman stepped from the shadows, human in form but unnerving in presence. Her hair was long and dark, whipping in the wind, eyes glowing faintly. She held a staff carved from black stone, topped with a spiraling crystal that pulsed in time with his mark. The keeper, he realized. You survived. She smiled, a slow, dangerous curve of her lips. I never left. The gate doesn't let its guardians go. And you have come far, but not far enough. Daniel gritted his teeth. I'm finishing this. No one else will be trapped because of you. The keeper's smile widened. Oh, Daniel. You misunderstand. I am the gate. And it has always been hungry for blood, your blood. The final key. Before he could react, the spiral on his hand erupted into white-hot light. The tower itself groaned and shifted. Daniel stumbled back as stone slabs cracked beneath him. Shadows spilled from the walls, clawing at him, whispering in tortured voices. The keeper lifted her staff. Bring me the key, and your father will be free. Refuse, and you will join him. Daniel's heart pounded. He could see the spiral's power radiating from him, not just a mark, but a weapon, if he could control it. The whispers in his mind screamed advice, warning, threats. He clenched his fist. I don't need you. I am the key. The tower trembled. Lightning split the sky. Daniel felt the spiral burn through his arm, spreading into his chest. Shadows recoiled. The keeper screamed, a sound that shattered stone. Then, with a roar of wind and light, the spiral mark flared so brightly that the shadows evaporated. The keeper was thrown backward, her form flickering like smoke. Daniel fell to his knees, panting, but alive. The tower's stones no longer writhed. For the first time, silence, absolute, oppressive silence, reigned. He looked at his hand. The spiral still glowed faintly, pulsing with life. And for the first time, he felt something else, a connection, not just to the gate, but to his father. A faint voice whispered in his mind, soft and clear, Daniel. I am here. His father. Not a ghost. Not a shadow. Real. And waiting. Daniel stood, determination flooding through him. The tower's summit still loomed above, the storm still waiting. And he knew, with every fiber of his being, that the final confrontation, the top of the tower, the heart of the gate, was just ahead. The spiral mark throbbed. The wind howled. The storm above the tower twisted into a vortex of light and shadow. Daniel Mercer began the final ascent. And somewhere, deep in the heart of the gate, the keeper's laughter echoed, a sound that promised both revelation and terror. The wind roared like a living thing as Daniel climbed the final stretch of the tower. The stones beneath his feet vibrated with a low hum, a pulse that matched the spiral on his palm. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the summit, a massive circular platform carved from black obsidian, suspended above the endless sea. At the center of the platform floated a doorway of pure light, a shimmering threshold that seemed to breathe. Around it, the storm twisted into impossible shapes, clouds writhing like serpents. And there, standing before the gate, was the keeper, her staff glowing, her form shifting between human and shadow. You made it, she hissed, voice like grinding stone. I almost admired your persistence. Daniel tightened his grip on his fists. I'm not here to admire. I'm here to end this. The keeper laughed, a sound that sent shards of fear into his bones. End it? You misunderstand. You don't end the gate. You complete it. And it has chosen you as its final key. The spiral mark on Daniel's palm burned hotter, light spilling in waves that pushed back the storm. He took a deep breath. If I'm the key, then I'll control it, not you. The keeper's eyes flared. Foolish boy. You've only seen a fraction of its power. Every key bends to the gate's will, until it devours them. Suddenly, the doorway pulsed, ripples of energy spreading across the platform. Shadows lunged from the edges, swirling toward Daniel like a tidal wave. He raised his palm, and the spiral flared. The shadows shrieked and recoiled, as if burned by an invisible fire. From the corner of his vision, he saw movement, a figure stepping from the doorway. His father. Older, gaunt, but alive. His eyes locked on Daniel, fear and love tangled in his gaze. Daniel, it's waiting, his father shouted over the roar of the storm. Do not give it control, the keeper snarled. See? Even your precious father obeys the gate now. Daniel's heart raced. He understood. The gate had fed on his father, transformed him, bound him. But the spiral could channel its power. He clenched his hand, focusing. He remembered the visions, the whispers, the sacrifices. Everything had led to this moment. He felt the gate inside him, alive, hungry, demanding, but he did not yield. Instead, he shaped it with his will. Energy surged from his palm, spiraling outward, wrapping around the doorway like chains of light. The keeper screamed, trying to fight the force, her staff flailing. Daniel! You can do it! His father's voice rang in his mind. The platform trembled violently. The storm above twisted into a vortex of shadow and lightning. The keeper lunged at him, staff raised, but Daniel met her with a surge of pure light from the spiral. Their powers collided, energy exploding in a blinding wave. The keeper shrieked, her form tearing between shadow and human, losing cohesion. No, you cannot! You're finished, Daniel growled. The spiral pulsed one final time, a massive surge that engulfed the doorway and the keeper. Light and shadow collided, and then, silence. When Daniel opened his eyes, the storm had vanished. The summit was calm, the sea below glittering in morning light. The doorway had dissolved into nothing, leaving only the platform and the tower standing tall against the sky. His father stepped forward, fully human again, eyes clear. Daniel, you did it. You controlled it. You finished what I could not. Daniel's knees gave way, relief flooding him. Dad, you're really here? His father smiled faintly. Thanks to you. But the gate, it's never truly gone. It waits for the next marked bloodline. Daniel glanced at his palm. The spiral mark had faded, leaving only a faint scar. A warning, a memory. The tower trembled lightly, as if acknowledging him, before settling. The keeper was gone, consumed by the gate's collapse. The air smelled of ozone and sea salt, clean, free. Together, father and son descended the tower. The spiral's lessons lingered: power, temptation, sacrifice. But Daniel felt stronger. He had faced the gate, confronted the keeper, and emerged victorious. As they reached solid ground, Daniel looked back at the tower. The sunlight reflected off its black stones, and for a moment, he could swear he saw a faint shimmer of light in the void, a reminder that the gate was still alive somewhere, waiting. His father placed a hand on his shoulder. We leave this place behind, Daniel. Some doors must remain closed, even if we are the key. Daniel nodded, gripping the journal and his father's hand tightly. The sea stretched endlessly before them, waves calm and eternal. Yet in his heart, he knew the memory of the gate, the spiral, and the keeper would never leave. As they walked toward the horizon, a whisper floated on the wind, faint but unmistakable. Until the next key. Daniel Mercer turned his head once, eyes narrowing. Adventure, danger, and mystery still awaited. And somewhere deep inside, he welcomed it. The sea was calm again, eerily so, echoing the moment when Daniel first set foot on Isla Noctis. The supply boat floated near the shoreline, empty but ready. Daniel and his father stepped onto the deck, the journal and sketches of the gate secured in Daniel's bag. Captain Hale had stayed behind, trusting Daniel's warnings. Daniel didn't blame him. Some things were too dangerous, too unnatural for ordinary eyes. Thought I'd lost you forever, his father said, voice trembling. I never should have come here. Daniel shook his head. You did what you had to do. I finished it for both of us. And we survived. His father looked at him, studying the faint scar on Daniel's palm. The spiral mark had faded, but it still pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat, a reminder of the gate's power. That mark, it's not gone completely. Be careful, Daniel. Some doors, once opened, never truly close. Daniel nodded, staring at the horizon. The island of shadows now lay behind them, hidden in mist. Yet in the back of his mind, he could still hear whispers, faint, distant, but persistent. The boat cut through the water as the sun rose. Daniel watched the waves, lost in thought. The adventure had changed him. The gate had tried to consume him, but he had harnessed it. He had faced death, shadow, and temptation, and survived. Where to now? His father asked, breaking the silence. Daniel smiled faintly, eyes narrowing. Wherever the next mystery is waiting. Some doors are meant to be found, but not all of them. Behind him, the faintest ripple appeared on the surface of the water, like a reflection, or a shadow of something unseen. Daniel glanced back. Nothing. Just the endless sea. But he knew better. The spiral mark throbbed faintly once more, reminding him that the gate's story was far from over. Somewhere, waiting, the next adventure had already begun. And Daniel Mercer, marked by the secrets of Isla Noctis, would be ready. The boat sailed onward, carrying father and son toward a new horizon. Above the waves, a whisper drifted on the wind, soft but unmistakable. The doors never forget. Daniel clenched his fists, smiling. The world was full of mysteries, and he was ready to face them all.